E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna and Jim, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Ginwa Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. Jim, we are talking about changing your mental vision this week.
Yes, we are, Donna. And I'll tell you right now, in yesterday's show, we tore down that one that, I don't have any money. That's just a story that you build up, because how many people have you read a true life story about that changed their life, went from rags to riches, as the old saying goes? And Donna, you say it best, how everybody loves the underdog. Everybody loves to cheer it on. And so the question I like to ask some of you folks out there who are enslaving yourself by these myths that you think are gospel truths. So what if you don't have any money? That has not stopped a lot of people.
Right.
Because you cash in on what you do have, your gifts, your talents, people that you can ask help for. Can you introduce me here? Right. People that have a like-minded cause who want to, help you succeed, because you got to find a cause bigger than yourself. That's been the thing that we've been talking about quite a bit. And that's so important, to find a cause bigger than you, isn't it, Donna?
It really is. It is. It's when you give, you receive. It's really simple. Mm-hmm. It's really simple. And that's not meaning to say that, you find the cause, and we're not trying to imply that everything you get goes right back to the cause and you get nothing and you're right back at square one. We're not implying that at all.
No, not at all.
But when you get behind something that is so big and so beautiful, that touches your heart and touches your soul, that's when the doors open. Mm-hmm. That's when the doors open.
You're exactly right, because in that particular cause, you're going to be attracted to like-minded people who are also interested in and believe in that cause. And those are the people that the energy brings across your pathway. And those people will help you use it, a mastermind principle. Just sit down and talk to them 101, 103, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, whatever.
Right.
And
absolutely.
That's how you start tearing down these mental blocks in your mind that you think hold you back.
Right.
And yesterday's show, we gave a great example of S.B. Fuller. I mean,
yes.
He grew up with more disadvantages than most people on planet Earth. He was the son of a sharecropper. That's a nice way of saying they were a very poor black family in the South. He started to work when he was 5 years old. He was born in 1905, and by the time he was 9, he was actually handling a team of mules. And that seems horrible for us to imagine that, but in that particular day and time,
that was life.
That was acceptable, yeah. And so, and how he started from nothing, and he became a salesman and saved up $25,000. But in the process of saving up money, what he really built up was his equity in himself, as far as his morals, his values, his beliefs, his associations. And those people there helped him by loaning him money by the business that was being sold. So if you didn't get a chance to see that show yet, be sure and go back and visit it, because it is one of the greatest stories I've ever seen or read about, excuse me.
Right.
But Donna, today, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, before we jump into the show, what are we going to talk about today for the National Day?
Oh, National Day. Well, one of the things, the top of the list is today is the National Day for all you pack rats out there. Now, I know I've never been guilty of being a pack rat, but, separating trash from treasures, and that's a real challenge, isn't it, Donna?
Yes, it is. After what, my 19th or 20th move? Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So the day is a national day for the pack rats. This is your day. And oh my goodness, one of my favorite nuts in the world. I could live off of these and also pistachios. But today is National Walnut Day. Oh my goodness. Every time I have oatmeal, I have to have walnuts in it. And oh my goodness gracious, walnuts are just a fantastic source of protein. They do,
Mhm.
I mean, I figure if walnuts will give a squirrel a bushy tail, that might give me a bushy hairdo. What the heck?
Well, they also go real good in brownies and banana bread.
Mm. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make this show very short. We're going over to Donna's house to have brownies and banana nut bread because it's good stuff. But yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful nut for us to have because all the great benefits of it. Also, today is National Cherry Cobbler Day. And I can imagine there's some folks out there at TV land say, Jim, would you hush about all those talking about them desserts, the National Day for Cherry Cobbler Day and all that. And then, my goodness, we're talking about going over to Donna's house for banana nut bread. I mean,
You might be surprised.
yeah, I mean to tell you, yeah. But it
That's
really
awesome.
is amazing. And during this week of Change Your Mental Vision, the big thing that Donna and I want you to understand is that no one can stop you. I don't care where you're watching us from, what country you're in, what the situation is.
What your
No,
circumstances are.
amen. No one can control your mind unless you allow them to.
If you let them take up and rent headspace, then they win.
Absolutely. And there's people like that. They think, that's their entitlement or right, and they are so wrong. They're so out of balance with the universe. I mean, it's pitiful. But yet
Yeah.
they're ignorant and undereducated. But today, in changing your mental vision, I love the story about Henry Ford.
Oh, absolutely.
Henry Ford is another classic example because a lot of people say they can't get ahead because they don't have enough education or they didn't have a father or they don't have any money. They didn't have this, that, and the other. Actually, the people who understood Henry Ford's success, it was actually very, very simple because most people were jealous and they would just say, he's just a country bumpkin. How could he do that?
Right.
And there's going to be people like that in the world. They're a dime a dozen. But Henry Ford, after he started achieving success, he was a subject of much envy, as you can imagine. People felt because, he had good fortune
Right.
or influential friends, or there was some type of lucky charm that he had in his hip pocket or whatever.
Yep.
But Ford's secret, it really wasn't a secret because of the things that made him successful were some of the same things you can use in your life today.
Absolutely.
And as a writing here that I'm reading that says perhaps one person in every 100,000 knew the real reason he was successful. And those very few, usually they were ashamed to speak of it because it's such a simple formula. And it's not secret at all. For example, years ago, Henry Ford, he wanted to have the V8 engine.
Right.
And he went to his engineers and he told them, he says, I want 8 cylinders in a block. Now, at that time, the only thing they made was what was called inline 6-cylinder engines, one piston right after another, or one cylinder right after another, 6 of them. He wanted 8. And every one of his engineers says it can't be done. It's impossible. And Ford says, "We'll produce it anyway." But it's impossible. And Ford told him, says, "Go to work and stay on the job until you succeed, no matter how much time is required." Well, the engineers went to work, and after 6 months went by, they had not succeeded. And another 6 months passed, and still no success. And at the end of the year, Ford checked with his engineers, and he said, "Keep working on it." He says, "I want it, I'll have it." And what happened? The V8 engine, of course, was not an impossibility at all. But what Ford did do, and this is something you can do, there was a lot of things about automobile and manufacturing that he did not know. But just like you, he knew his limitations. And Donna, I don't even know if they had the term mastermind, back then, but I don't know who created it. I'm sure it wasn't him, but he used it, didn't he?
Right, he did. And he was smart enough to know what he didn't know,
Mhm.
and know to go and hire people who knew what to do.
Yeah. And he picked their brains just like, it was his own. And so you can do the same thing. That's why having a cause, like-minded people, you can have a good heart-to-heart talk with them and say, "This is what I want to do. This is what's holding me back. This is this is the direction I want to go."
Right.
And these folks, because they like you and because you're on the same sheet of music, they'll be more than happy to help you.
Right.
And Donna, you and I, we've experienced that more than once since we've had this show together.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And with, it says, what's that saying? The good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. It'll continue.
Yeah. Yeah. We avoid the creeks, make sure they don't rise.
Right. Right. So, one of the things that when we talk about this and changing our mental vision, and I think, there's so many ways that people have said it, get a checkup from the neck up.
Mhm.
But it's true. And we all go through periods in our life that we need to kind of come back and recenter ourselves, if you will. And some of the things that Jim and I are going to talk about today are really fabulous little keys to help us.
Mhm.
Meet the most important person living.
Oh, yeah.
That person is you.
Mhm.
Your success, health, happiness, wealth depend on how you use your invisible talisman.
Mhm.
How will you use it? The choice is yours.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Donna, because when it comes to, you accepting the fact that you're very special, no one has been created just like you. That's how special you are. Your fingerprints and thumbprints and all that, that is just a little simple, obvious little thing that we know no one else has our fingerprints.
Well, even identical twins have differences.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. But that's just a little snapshot from the creator to show you just how special you were created.
Right.
For you, you are the most important person on planet Earth. You're going to live with yourself 24 hours a day. And why not, love yourself and enjoy yourself and look for ways to be able to expand your horizons. And that doesn't cost one thin dime, because I know a lot of young people that's watching the show, they talked about, well, I don't have any money. I don't know how to get things going. You got a mind,
Right.
and you got God-given gifts and talents that no one else has got, that doesn't cost you a dime to use. So be sure and use those, because that's the starting point.
It
And
is.
have the courage to make a mistake. And if you make a mistake, so what? Own it and go
I
on.
was just going to say, own it. There's nothing in my personal world. There is nothing worse than not owning your own mistake.
Hmm. You're exactly right.
Or somebody that you know, in your family, or, you know, how we raise our children. Did you do that? Nope. Are you sure? Nope. It was somebody else. Okay, well, who was it? Well, it's my brother. Okay, well, your brother isn't even home from school yet. How could that be? Right? So go
Yeah.
ahead and own it, you know, because that's how we learn. And there
Mhm.
is nothing wrong with making mistakes.
Mm-mm. Not at
This is
all.
part of life
Mhm. It really is, because if you're not making mistakes, you're not doing anything. And
to grow.
yeah, and when you make a mistake, like Donna says, own it, but also learn from it.
Right.
And we've talked about this before on the show, how make a list on a piece of paper. On one side, put what went well. And on the other side, just put lessons learned.
Right.
Not what went wrong, but the lessons learned, because you're going to learn some lessons down the pathway of life. And that school never closes. I mean,
Nope.
I'm age 73 and I still learn some things every day. There's
Right.
something new, it really is. And that's a wonderful thing, because that keeps your mind active, keeps you active. And imagine if you knew it all when you were, if like me, 73, what if I knew it all 23 years ago? Life would be kind of boring, wouldn't it?
Right. It would
Uh,
be.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. That's actually a wonderful blessing to be able to keep going and growing and expanding your mind and enlighten yourself.
Absolutely. So, you know, Jim, the interesting thing about this is, um, what we're really saying is your talesman, your invisible talesman, is your mind.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Okay. So the letters PMA, positive mental attitude, are emblazed on one side, and NMA, negative mental attitude, is on the other.
Hmm.
These are both powerful forces.
Hmm.
Um, each has a specific function.
Oh yeah.
So, right, the PMA, it has the power to attract good, thoughtful, beautiful things, and the NMA will repel them.
Hmm.
So we know, right, that negativity is what robs us of the good things and the joys in our life.
Oh
So
yeah.
the question you need to ask yourself is, how can I develop the right mental attitude?
Hmm.
So that's where you have to be honest and
Hmm.
very specific with yourself.
Oh yeah. And there's been a lot of great books written on positive mental attitude, but one of the key basic things that you can do to change the vision of your mind, that is to do this. Stop thinking about things that's harmful, negative, or is destructive.
Or hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Keep your mind on the things you want and off of the things you don't want. Think
Right.
about that. I guess we all, when we think about our life, we know there's times that we spend a lot of time thinking about things that we shouldn't be thinking about.
Right. Getting in our own headspace.
Uh huh. Yeah. And we should be disciplined enough to say whoa and no, and maybe read something that reinforces to do, because occupy your mind. If your mind is hungry for information, give it good information. Okay,
Right.
that's very very critical. And one of the YouTube videos, we pulled this up many times. I'll pull it up again here. Uh, it's let's see if I can find it here. We got about 400 or 500 of these things here. Oh, here it is. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale.
Oh, yeah, that's a great
That
one.
is a YouTube video. You can also download it, because some countries don't allow YouTube to be there, so that's fine. But you can download that from the internet in a PDF form. The Strangest Secret. I'm telling you, Mr. Earl Nightingale, he hits the nail right on the head when he talks about no matter what you ask from the
You'll
universe
get.
cannot say no to you.
Hmm?
That took me a while to get my mind around that, to be honest with you. But you know what? You may not have to understand it completely, just accept it.
Right.
I'm not talking about puffed up pride now. I'm just talking about feeling worthy on the inside, because you should feel worthy on the inside, because you are somebody special.
Right.
You were created special. And you hear that bird.
Is that bird back again?
Yeah, that boy.
Every day when we do the show, that dadgum bird likes to come and peck on the glass.
I was sitting there this morning and it just got, you know, just started getting light, and I was enjoying my coffee, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, because he jumps up and hits the glass and all of that, and I feel, okay, what can you do? I mean, we've had birds peck at it before, seeing their reflection, think it's another bird, but this kid doesn't get it. He doesn't quit.
He takes it to a whole different level.
Yeah, he's like a prize fighter. He's going to take it to the all the way to the end rounds. But being able to understand that you're worthy and you have the power to control your mind on what you're going to think about. That PMA talisman and NMA talisman, that the two-sided coin there, talisman, I should say, that is a visual to give you the understanding that you can draw from either side, either heads or tails, so to speak.
It's whichever one you feed the most.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And, don't blame others for your lack of success.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Develop that burning desire to succeed.
Mm.
And so you keep your mind, like you said, off of the things that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
That's sometimes where the trick comes. Well,
Yeah.
hello, Mr. Bird.
Yeah. I mean, you think that boy would have a sore beak or something. But yesterday, we covered about S.B. Fuller, but S.B. Fuller had a very remarkable mother.
Right.
And I tell you right now, there's an old saying, Donna, and that saying is, the hand that rocks the cradle will rule the world.
Mm-hmm.
And when Napoleon Hill originally did his interview, he interviewed 500 of the richest men in the United States at that time. And the one common denominator that all of those men had was that they had a great and fantastic mother.
Right.
And S.B. Fuller, even though his mother grew up in poverty, born and raised in poverty, she had a vision, because his mother had a higher outlook on life. She was
Right.
tuned into the universe, not the muck and the mire and the trash of life. She was above that because she knew she was worthy.
Right.
And she told SB as a little boy, she says, don't you ever hear me, let me hear you blame God for us being poor. We're
Right.
not poor because of God. We're poor because your father has never desired to be anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really kind of like, wow, hit him like, hey, you can think yourself rich? I mean, how can this be? So that was his journey that started him. And Donna, he read a lot of books in searching for himself, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He never stopped learning.
No.
Excuse me, I'm going to have to cough. I'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine. I understand. I know the feeling. But, he was able to accept the fact that, what his mother told him, don't you blame God, don't you blame anybody else for your lack of success. And that's a principle. And the same
Right.
goes for you, because there's a lot of young people out there. And Donna, we covered this first part of the year about, coming out in 2020, and I forget what we called that week of show.
We called it a New Year's revolution.
There she goes. There she goes. And New Year's resolution. I mean, it was a revolution, yeah, because people today, especially young people around the world, we saw this first class. They are hungry for, show me a way. Give me something I can bite into. Well, this is something that you can bite into at any age.
Right.
because it's truth, it's principles. And I like what S.B. Fuller talked about. He said, he always asked for divine guidance. He searched for the light. So you got to search for the light. And see, if you align yourself with like-minded people in your own group, then you've got resources that, from drawing on their experiences that can help you in your hour of need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which again is just a mastermind.
Oh, yeah, it sure is. And it's really great because when you talk about setting up your mastermind, think about how, let's just talk about that for a moment. Think about how you would feel if you would just set up 3 or 4 people, and maybe you're all in the same boat, but you got a like mind, you've got a like cause, and find a cause that's bigger than you and discuss things because the energy is going to start flowing. It can't be held back.
Right.
That's one thing about the energy. And you can afford the energy because it doesn't cost anything. And I want you to start opening up your mind. Some of you young folks out there, open up your minds and start dreaming about, okay, how would I want my life to be? How can I change my life? We're not talking about stuff in your pockets full of money and buying fancy cars and rings and jewelry and all that. That's not what it's about. What it's about is how can you leave a legacy for people to know that you made a difference in someone else's life, because
Right.
that's what makes you successful. And you will never go hungry.
Right.
You may not have enough money to buy a Ferrari, but so what? You never have to worry about that car getting stolen either.
Right. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's talked about that I love
Mhm.
is that it says every adversary has a seed of an equivalent or greater benefit for those who
Mm.
have a PMA.
Mm.
Sometimes the things that seem to be the adversities turn out to be opportunities in disguise. Tom Dempsey discovered this as a cripple.
Mhm.
Here's the self question: will you engage in thinking time to determine how you can turn adversities into seeds of equivalent or
Mhm.
greater benefits?
Yeah. Without going into detail, Donna and I, that very thing she's talking about, that chicken came home to roost in our place.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we wanted to have happen, it didn't happen. And because it didn't happen, it gave us a greater opportunity that we did not see until
Right,
after the fact.
right.
And that's just, that's just puts the icing on the cake there, brother. It really
It
does.
really does. It really does. So, the other thing is when you're after something in your life, Jim,
Mhm.
how important is it to enjoy what you do for work?
Goodness gracious.
And if you're in the position where you have a job that you have to have because it pays the bills, but it's
Mhm.
not your favorite thing in the whole world, that's
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
Pretty much everyone's been there,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But knowing that it's not forever and
Mhm.
find, in my past, I've been like, well, this kind of sucks. I don't really like it, but at least I know I can put food on the table and take care
Mhm.
of my children and take care of the bills that need to be taken care of.
Yeah, the main thing in that, if you're in that situation, is to adjust your mental attitude to where it does not destroy your spirit.
Right. And look at why you're doing it.
Yeah. And
And
be
so if you
thankful that you're able to do it.
right. So if you have a job and it's not the best one out there, that's fine.
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
not a forever thing.
Yeah.
It's only
And
forever if you accept it as so.
that's right. And when you look at all of it, it's kind of like life is like a rose bush. When you walk out and look at a rose bush, some people look at the roses and admire the beauty, and others will look at the thorns and think, "Man, that thing would hurt."
Right.
you know.
Right.
And maybe I shouldn't say this because I say things on the air all the time that I probably shouldn't say, but we had a supervisor one time that no one really liked. And so we gave him a little, insignificant going away gift. But he got upset when we found out that we were going to have his going away party the next day after he was gone. And
Oh, that's funny.
sometimes it's the thought that counts. I don't know who came up with that idea,
I
but
wouldn't know, Jim Grant.
I wouldn't know either. But it seemed like an absolutely brilliant idea at the time. But I mean, we had it was our way of releasing the stress,
Right.
and because there was only so much we could do, but we did not allow all of that negativeness and immaturity too. He was very immature. Um, we did not let it destroy our spirit. And having the going away party the day after he was gone, that was just an uplifting thing. It just so happened it was on a Friday too, so it was the icing on the cake. We just really had a good time there.
Well,
Um,
one of the things I learned way back in years and years ago, when you work in retail, I think retail is an amazing experience for people,
Oh yeah.
right? Because gosh darn it, you deal with all different kinds of people, right? Every, you know, everybody comes to the grocery or wherever you're working. But on those days that are really tough, one of the
Mhm.
things, little tricks I did to get me through the day was constantly tell myself, this is somebody's mother, this is somebody's father, somebody's sister, somebody's brother. This is a human being, right? They're here for a reason. So we don't know what people go through.
Yeah, it's true.
We don't know what kind of day they're having. We don't know the pressures inside their home that they're going through.
Mhm.
So, I learned a long time ago to really work hard to give somebody else grace.
Mhm.
And when you give somebody else grace, you know who else gets grace too? You do.
Yeah. What you sow, you reap, and what you give,
Yep,
you shall receive. And I missed, as Donna was saying
absolutely.
that, I thought she was going to say, inwardly, I'd say, thank goodness I'm not related to them. That
Jim.
would be okay too if you keep it to yourself. I mean, let's be honest. But realistically, there are a lot of people out there that's hurting right now, and they're frustrated, and they don't know how to channel this energy,
Right.
and it just vomits out ugliness.
Hmm.
And you feel sorry for people like that because they just don't know how to rechannel that self, how to let it have an exit,
Right.
because everybody needs an exhaust. You need to be able to let things go. We all
Right.
have things that bother us. We all have things that irritate us, but we got to have that exhaust and be able to let it go, because a lot of people, they go to the gym and they'll work out as hard as they can to release some of that stress. And if that works for you, that's great. But you got to have some way of releasing that energy.
Right.
That's what it is. It's pent up energy. It's negative energy. You got to find a way to let it go.
Absolutely.
Maybe
Absolutely.
it's go talk to a good friend. Maybe it's to talk to a religious figure, whatever.
Hmm.
Whatever it takes, whatever works for you, but don't keep it pent up inside, because all it's going to do is fester inside.
Right.
And it just really throws everything in your life out of balance. It repels all of everything that you want, including good health. Think about that, because
Hmm.
if you got a lot of negative energy in here, you're not going to be healthy. I
That's
mean,
true.
it just impossible. So you owe that to yourself. And Donna, if I may, I'd like to take just a couple of minutes here and talk about Shelter the Soldier, because,
Oh, absolutely.
when we talk about saving lives, Donna, mm, two lives get saved in this organization, don't they?
Hmm. Yes, they do.
This all started out of a dream, a passion of giving out, giving to someone. And this nonprofit started out in California, and they're small, but they go into the shelters and they select the bigger dogs that normally are not real good candidates to be adopted. And they're very good candidates. If they don't get out of there, they're going to be put down.
Right.
And they take these dogs, and these dogs have a unique ability to know, hey, I just got saved, and I've
Right.
got a life now and I've got a purpose. Because every living thing, especially dogs, I think we can learn a lot from dogs. But that when they realize they have a purpose, like your boy Jake, his
Mm.
purpose in life is to love you and protect you.
Hmm.
I mean, everything else on planet Earth, he doesn't care about cartoons. He don't care about anything else. But
Well, he
mom.
does care about bacon.
Oh well,
And
yeah, that's intelligent. That's intelligence. But I mean, he knows what his purpose is in life, and these
right.
dogs they get trained to learn how to diagnose PTSD,
Yep.
how to be a friend in the hour or the moment of need, not the hour, but the moment of need when a soldier is suffering from an attack from PTSD or anything
Hmm.
like that. And there's been dogs that can tell when their owners or their masters are going to have a heart attack or if they got health problems or anything like that. I mean, it's just
Seizures,
just amazing.
diabetes
Hmm.
spikes, you name
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, and they train these dogs, and then they bring in the soldier to you know pick a dog, or actually they pick each other because the dogs will know you know who's a good fit for them, and they will know who's a what dog is a good fit for them also. And the soldier and the dog become a pair, and there's no cost at all to the soldier.
Right.
They run completely on charity. And the thing of it is, every single soldier that has received a dog has not committed suicide. And here in the United States, ladies and gentlemen, we lose about 22 soldiers a day to suicide. That
Hmm.
is 22 families that have been destroyed by suicide. And that's how important that is. And think about the mindset behind that. This was a cause bigger than them.
Hmm.
But look how they've blessed so many people. And
Right.
it's going to continue to bless and continue to bless. And that's where your mindset should be. It shouldn't be on how much money you can make or what kind of a car you can buy or whatever. That's the icing on the cake of life. But the real thing you need to be focused on is how can you present the cake of life to people out there in the hour of need and be able to be a blessing to them.
Right.
Mm. I love when
That,
people get hand ups instead of handouts because it it frees them up.
right. It teaches them. It teaches
Hmm.
them how to take care of whatever it is
Hmm.
in their time of need. So,
Hmm.
this is really interesting. We've talked about work and accepting the priceless gift, the joy of work. Okay. Um, apply the greatest value in life, love
Hmm.
people, and serve them.
Hmm.
I'll say it again.
Wow.
Apply the greatest value in life, love people, and serve them.
Mm.
Like Henry
That's it.
J. Kaiser, you will attract big and generous portions of success.
Hmm.
Y- You can if you develop PMA.
Hmm.
So here's the self question. Will you search to find out how you can develop PMA as you continue going through your life? Because we all get tripped up, right, Jim?
We certainly do.
Right.
It's
Life
easy for
happens.
us. Yeah, it's easy for us to get derailed. And that's why you need people that's like minded and to be able to recharge your energy because when you're talking to people that's like-minded in your group, even if it's just one-on-one, if you
Right.
call up your best friend, because I know ladies have their best friends forever, and guys we don't normally call them, we call them buddies, but calling up your friend and just say, I'm having a bad day. This, happened to me today, and just let that's that exhaust. You need to let that negative energy go. That's
Right.
important because you look at some of the people who have done horrible things, serial killers and people like that who've had a demonic brain. Let's call it what it is. It's the demonic brain. They let things build up from their childhood. And then finally it just comes out. And it's very harmful and destructive to people and to mankind. And that's why it's so important for you to change your vision to to understand that you're worthy, to understand that you are entitled to the strangest secret that Earl Nightingale talks about there on that YouTube video, because you can do this. You really can.
Mhm.
And Donna and I, we just really enjoy doing the show here and talking about things. And whenever you want to accomplish something, be specific. Set a date and a time. That's very
Right.
important too, isn't it, Donna?
It is, and it's also important to, if it's a big accomplishment, break
Hmm.
it down into pieces, right?
Hmm.
There's an old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
Yeah.
So make it where, you know, the major accomplishments here, but set the timelines on building up to getting there.
Hmm.
Because each way, each step you take, each road you navigate through, those are successes.
Yes, they are.
And you have to look at it that way. You
You certainly
have to
do.
look at it that way.
Mhm. And Donna, it really amazes me with all of the information we have at our fingertips. A lot of people are still struggling. They're still trying to find themselves. And some of the things that we're sharing with you, please share our show with others, because we talk about how you can do things. And the main thing is, is to get your foundation before you do anything else. You've got to know what your goals are, where you want to be. And not someday I'm going to be, I'll get a degree, or someday I'm going to do this, someday I'm going to do that, because someday, I've never seen someday on a calendar. Have you?
Right?
It just doesn't exist. That's a false hope. It also leads you up to frustration. It also, that's that NMA talisman starts shining, and when it starts shining, it's like a bright light in your eyes. If you've ever been at night and someone shines a big bright flashlight in your eyes, you can't see anything
Right.
because it just kills your vision. And that NMA, that negative mental attitude talisman, it repels all of the good things that you
Hmm.
really want in life, that you're entitled to, that you can use. And if you have a cat house like Donna, you can just, you can have a
It
self wipe.
happens.
Yeah, have a, yeah. I may have a put some windshield wipers on the tail there to clean my glasses too. So
Right.
here.
Be helpful.
Oh yeah, but we're animal people. We're animal lovers, and that's who we are. And it's just amazing how when we every time Donna and I do a show, one of the most common things that we say when we finish the show is that, wow, that was a good show.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you what makes it a good show, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, as we're sharing stuff, the energy comes to us. And that energy is giving us thoughts or things to say, because the higher source knows there's someone out there in TV land that really needs to hear those particular words. We're just the voice box, the
We're just a
messenger.
conduit.
That's it.
That's it. Just a conduit.
And it's a wonderful thing for us to be able to be here and share time with you in the living room or on your cell phone, wherever you're watching us at. But I'm just so honored to ask you if some of the things we've been sharing on this show would benefit some of the young people. Um, please share it with them,
Right.
because there was a lady in was it Pakistan? And she asked me if it's okay if she shared some of the things off our show from the YouTube channel and to teach kids. Well, yeah, that's what it's there for.
Right.
And it's amazing. I also told her about The Strangest Secret. I told her about the books I recommend because these books, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, Think and Grow Rich. I mean, there's all kind of,
Augmentino.
oh,
There's
yeah.
Augmentino was amazing.
Yes, he was. He was a poor boy, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
And he used to
Yes, he
go in
was.
the libraries when in the wintertime just so he could be out of the weather and be warm, and he read.
Hmm.
And that's how he turned his life around. I mean, it's just amazing how, you know, how he did he write the Greatest Salesman or something like wasn't that book he
I,
wrote the greatest I think so,
I
wasn't it?
think so. I think
Yeah.
so.
And but the fact of it is he was well known for, changing his life and his direction, his attitude and all that. And, you know, you got to search for the light when you're in the dark. And that's key.
It is.
Uh, I've mentioned the story several times when I was on my way to one time. I didn't want to go to Orlando, but something told me, says, "Hey, keep going. You got to go." And I didn't want to go. You got to go. But I went down. I said, "Okay, I'll go on one condition. I'll change my life." That's all I needed to know at that point in time, because that's
Right.
exactly what I did. I changed my life, and I'm
Hmm.
happier, much happier. Because sometimes all you need to know is just that, hey, I'm going forward. I don't
Right.
know what the end result's going to be, but that's okay. I'm going to keep my options open. I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open, and I'm going to communicate with like-minded people that are interested in the same thing that I am, because I know that I know that I know I'm worthy, and the energy will come to me, and the energy will lead me in the path where it wants me to be.
And I'd like to also interject, if I could, and
Sure.
understand that as you grow and you change and
Hmm.
you leave negativity behind, and I'm speaking from true experience, folks,
Hmm.
you're going to find that you're going to be, people will be at war with you.
Hmm.
It'll be a love hate relationship. Okay. Some days they'll love you, some days they'll hate you. But what happens is you're like this, right? And you can't really go anywhere because those same people that you were with before are keeping you like a pendulum. You're just going back and forth.
Hmm.
There may come a time in your life where you need to cut them loose.
Oh yeah.
Give them and yourself grace, and understand that not everybody is in our life forever.
Hmm.
They come in our life for a season and a time
Hmm.
that we can learn something from. But it's okay, because your life is just that.
Hmm.
It is your life. It
Hmm.
is your decision. It is your outcome that you're
Hmm.
after. And their approval is not necessary for you to grow and thrive.
Mm. That's well said, Donna. That's very well said. Because, some people in life, they're a blessing to you. And some people in life, I mean, think about, we all can think back, years ago when in my life, speaking of my life, years ago, I can think back, I had friends and they weren't bad people. I mean, we didn't, commit crimes or anything like that, but they really weren't people that would be productive in my life for me to be able to go and grow and to be able to be on this TV show.
Right.
That was just not who they were. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I still consider him a friend, and talked to one here, a few months ago. And of course, when you talk to friends from years ago, you go in that freeze frame. Like you go back to high school, what do you talk
Right.
about? You
The
talk
good
about
old
the
days.
things, yeah, talk about the things you did, in high school. And then you kind of branch out a little bit into your individual life, but your common ground, your common glue that holds you together is high school. Yeah, you
Right.
remember the time we all skipped class and got in trouble? Yeah, I remember the time we told me I had a flat tire, and the teacher says, "Okay, fine. You sit in the front, you sit in the back, you sit over here, and you sit over there." And I got
Right.
one question I'm going to ask you. I want you to write down which tire was flat.
Too funny.
Mm.
Too funny.
But it's those are the kind of things. But see, sometimes you can only go so far, and then you got to go to a higher level, and they may
Right.
not be able to go along with you.
Right.
And that's what Donna's saying. Just love them and let them go. But you can always still be friendly towards them, of course. But uh, you're going to have to expand your horizons
Hmm.
because it's going to be part of growth. It really will be.
It is, and sometimes it's difficult to do,
Hmm.
but at least in my thank you, Glock. At least in my point of view, it has been well worth it, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because um, they just can't see the vision. So
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that their vision is wrong. And that's
Hmm.
so important to understand. It
Hmm.
does not mean that their vision is wrong,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
but we're
Be-
talking two different visions.
yeah, exactly. Their calling in life, they may be content. That may be their calling in life where they are
Right,
right now. There's nothing wrong with that. But your calling in life may be on a different path.
right,
And not, I don't like to use a higher path. That sounds like you're higher above someone else, but it's a different road. Okay. And down that different road is going to come different challenges, different requests,
hmm,
different things you're going to have to answer the bell to. And maybe the folks back there, they're not equipped with that gift or that talent to help
right.
you. So that's one of the things that you must do. Just say, just be honest and just say, I still love you. We're still friends and all that, but my time is just consuming me. I've got all this, and share with them the cause that you're working with and all that. And chances are, a lot of times that will make him want to drift away because they'll probably think you're wanting to pull me into that cause, and I don't want to do that because they know they're limited. So that's a
Right.
good way too, to be in a nice way.
Well, Jim, we are almost out of time.
Hmm. I knew he was going to say that.
But
I
I
knew.
want to take a quick moment and thank everybody who watches us.
Hmm.
You have no idea how much Jim and I
Hmm.
appreciate it, and all the
Hmm.
people who work with us. We
Hmm.
appreciate each and every one of you so much, so much. And Jim, let's put our email up there. Here it is.
Okay.
I'll put it up there.
Yeah.
If you have something that you would like us to talk about on the show, something that is of interest, please email us at inspiration at e360tv.com. One of our staff will get it to us, um, because this is, like we said, we're the conduit,
Hmm.
and without you we wouldn't be here. So if there is
Absolutely.
something that you want to hear, please email us. We would love to hear your ideas and your
Hmm.
thoughts.
Or any comments you may have. That's
Hmm.
that too. And just remember one thing: age does not matter. On You may have been a failure for 50 years. So what? Just how old Colonel Sanders was when he started out making, or started with his Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise chain.
Oh, he was over 50.
Oh yeah, he was no spring chicken.
Mm,
Yeah, I think he was about 65 or something like that. And see,
yeah,
back then that was old.
right,
See, 65 today, I mean, 60 is the new 40. So that'd be
right.
equivalent to us, to this day and time, him being closer to 75 or 80. It really would be. So
Hmm.
don't let age, remember, age is a number. And it doesn't matter because you get
Nope,
heartbeat in your veins, breath in your lungs, and you're a mind with the body. Age does not matter.
absolutely.
It really doesn't. Ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone, and we want to thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure and share this show and our channel with others that you know can benefit from it, especially some of the young people, because they're getting so misinformed on things, and their little minds are getting, I say little minds, their young minds are getting warped with things that are not beneficial to society. They need to tune in to not necessarily our show, but they need to tune into the universe where it's love and abundance. Because who doesn't want love and abundance? And to have an
Right.
abundance of love in their life. Oh my goodness. I mean, Donna, she wanted love and abundance. She wants abundance of love in her house. She only got 4 cats.
Yep. And I love
And
every one of them.
I know. But anyway, thank you again. Be sure and love yourself first, and then you can love others. Be sure, as Donna likes to say, give yourself grace. Forgive yourself of some of your shortcomings, your faults. And once you forgive yourself and you ask forgiveness, it's gone forever. No need to bring it back up. It's gone because forgiven is forgiven. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Thank you so much. Have a great day.